All right. So, welcome to Underwater Starlight. I'm your host, Yolanda, and I have Linda here with me. Linda,
Hi.
would you like to introduce yourself? I'm so excited for you guys to meet my dear friend Linda. She is a very talented, all around, just, I want to call you spiritual specialist, or
Really?
what would you call yourself?
Just me? I would call me just me. Okay, yeah, no big deal. So, so my name's Linda Ingalls. Just a little background, I guess. So I'm a retired nurse. Became a nurse in '75. Retired last year actually. Most of that time was in ICU, intensive care, and during that time, early in that career, I became able to talk to people's spirits for whatever freaky reason, and I became known for that. And it really kick-started my spiritual path.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's kind of what started everything, where you were just kind of living your life as a nurse, and I'm sure you had a few other careers before that, right?
no, I've
Or that
always
was your
been a
only one?
nurse.
Oh wow.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, little college jobs.
Right, but that was kind of like your main
No, that was my main thing.
career. Yeah.
I wanted to be a singer. My mother said, be a nurse first, then you'll have a good job. Okay, Mom.
And would you say that being a nurse was I mean, I'm sure you had different jobs within that theme where you probably worked for different hospitals and noticed it was very corporate or, closed-minded.
Not going there, man.
Okay.
Not going there. I've worked for lots of hospitals, but you got to remember, man, I started nursing when it wasn't that kind of a thing, really. It's changed, but I'm not even going to go into all that.
Right. Well, we want to focus on sort of more of the here and now.
Yeah.
It is nice to have kind of that background of where I mean, we all have somewhere where we began, that little
Right.
spark that kind of set us on the path,
Kicked my ass on the path.
kicked your ass into gear.
Seriously, it kicked my butt.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm an ICU nurse talking to spirit.
Exactly. And that's what I love about Linda too, you guys. I'm so excited to have this conversation because she's one of the most authentic people that I know. I think one of the things that cracked me up the first time I sat down with her and had an actual session with her was she curses, and it's, what would you say about that? It's just, I say what comes out, right?
Well, before any session, even if it's with a friend, I'm going to ask, is it okay if I talk to your spirit? Is it okay if I say the words past lives? Is it okay if I swear? I'm always going to check it out because, it has purpose. So I don't question it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever a time where you were like, oh, I can't say fuck, or things like that? This is an uncensored show.
No, because I think, here's the thing. I remember an experience in the ICU when I had a patient that was dying, and the whole family were biker types, okay?
Right.
And so we were going to be withdrawing life support the next day, and then they said, can we have this visitor come in? So I went and got the door, and here comes in this dude in leathers, piercings, tats, his little chain thing hanging here, and he walks in. I said, oh, you're the healer, aren't you? He goes, how'd you know? I go, I can feel your energy, man. Come on in. Spirit is always gonna have whoever is gonna resonate with you. And so if you're a healer who's working on the streets, that's exactly where you're supposed to be. Okay? If you're a healer who's a woo-woo, new age light worker, that's exactly where you're supposed to be, because you're going to reach certain people. So when I say fuck, it's going to resonate with the people I'm working with.
Right.
And if they gave me permission, then I'm not going to worry about it, because I don't worry about really anything that comes out of my mouth.
Right. And you are, wait, and if I remember correctly, you're from New York, right?
No.
No, wait, where are you from again? I'm
I
sorry.
was born in San Francisco. I don't pronounce my R's, so everybody thinks I'm from New York.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. I
Yeah.
don't know why I thought that. That's so funny. Yeah, I thought you were from Boston or something.
Boston, that's the thing.
Do you get that a lot?
All the time. Once there was this patient in the ICU who wasn't quite with it, a woman, and she was from New York or Jersey or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to answer her alarm, and I walked in, and she says, "Oh, you're from New York?" I said, No, I just don't pronounce my R's. Thereafter, she would yell, "Get me that nurse from New York! I want to talk to her!"
And you're like, that's not me. I don't know who you're talking about.
No, I'd go in there.
Yeah. I love it. But people, I think that's just it. People like to be given the truth and given straight, like that straightforward, no bullshit approach. And
Not
I think
everybody wants it.
not everybody wants that.
And that's why I asked
But
permission.
that's why it's specific.
I've had 2 clients. I work at Spirit Quest as a contractor. Thank you, Spirit Quest. And when I asked if I could swear, and then they heard me say the prayer where I actually say fuck when I'm praying, they started crying. 2 different clients. And I said, I didn't know it was okay to say fuck if you were spiritual. And I said, it is. It's okay.
I'm really glad. Seeing this brushes on a topic that I'm so happy it naturally came up in our conversation. I knew it would. I knew a few things would. And that is that there is this certain spiritual perfectionism that is almost as toxic as not being spiritual. Like it almost kind of reminds me of like old school religion. So it's refreshing to me anyways. I mean, it may not be refreshing to everybody, but just the way I was brought up, you don't even say things like, I mean, I think hell was okay, but even then people would say heck or, just blur their cuss words into something else so that it sounded similar, but it wasn't the cuss word.
But the energy was the same.
The energy's the same,
and
exactly.
That's the whole thing. It's not about the word. It's about the energy. Right. It's about the intention. And I agree that it's so mainstream to be spiritual now. And there's so many rules to be spiritual. It's just like, okay, whatever. And yeah, I try not to, I only will read a spiritual book or watch a video or go to an event if Spirit's saying go for it.
Right. It probably feels good in your body and
it resonates.
It resonates.
And then I'm only going to stay as long as it resonates, I'll stop reading the book because I learned a long time ago that the absolute best teacher is within. I mean, why else are we trying to be spiritual? Is to be connected and within.
The thought too comes to me when you're guided to go somewhere, it may not even necessarily be because you love that music or you love that what's going on at that event. It could be that you're meant to meet a certain person or shift somebody's life in some kind of impactful way, and we just don't know. That's why I just trust now. I let my mind kind of, get out of the equation. So going back to sort of your journey as a nurse, going from a nurse into seeing spirits and things like that, it's like your natural spiritual gifts started to awaken. Were they always awakened, or was there a moment that you can recall where it just kind of popped on, or or it just became more pronounced? I guess it's not like a switch, right?
Well, I think that some things happened when I was a kid, but then I just tuned them out. But no, It did just happen just like that. You want that story?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's interesting, and I think you all would like to hear her stories. She's got the best stories.
Dudes. So I'm working in the ICU during the time of AIDS when everybody's dying. Everybody's dying. And I was taking care of this really beautiful young man who's dying. And he was alone. And I said, isn't there anybody I could get for you? He said, nope. I said, what about your parents? He said, no, they don't know I'm gay. it'll kill them. I said, okay. So then I came home and I felt really bad. There was nothing I could do for him in any way. So I'm walking around my house and I'm just thinking about him, and I'm talking to him in my mind, and I don't even know what I said. So the next day I went to work. I was in charge, so I didn't get to have him. But my friend had him as a nurse, and she's the only person I told, I think I'm hearing voices, because I'm not going to tell anybody that. Anyway, she came up to me and she said, did you talk to him last night? I said, what? Did you talk to him? I said, well, I was just pretending I was talking to him because I was so upset that I can't help him. And she said, well, he said an angel appeared to him and told him everything would be okay, and would I please call his parents. So she did. They came. Everything was okay. He didn't die alone. I thought, yeah, I'm no angel, man. It wasn't me. So I just put that away. But that was the very first thing. And then it just snowballed after that. So I wrote all that stuff in my memoir thingy.
Well, so did you get sort of a feedback from this man that you had appeared in your image, or he just said it was an angel in general?
He just said an angel.
Okay.
So the next story is the one that really
kind of kicked
my butt.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
So this, I came to work and I was going to take care of this 8 or 9-year-old guy I'll call Sam. Apparently while I was off, he'd come to the ICU for some reason. I don't even know what it was. Yeah. And he had been sent to pediatrics. I guess he was okay. Mm-hmm. But the night before I showed up in the morning, he went into a coma. Mm-hmm. And his doctor said he's going to die. So I walked into his room and I just stood at the foot of his bed and I thought, So I pretended I was talking to him and I said, hi. And I saw this kid in raging flames, furious. And I said, what's going on? He said, I'm going to show them. I'm just going to get back at them and I'm just going to die. I said, what are you talking about? My mom treats me like a baby and my dad shouldn't have done that. I said, I don't know what you're talking about, but you're only like 9 years old. If you just wait a little bit, you can do whatever the hell you want. Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So then his mom shows up and, he said, well, I never thought about it like that. I'll think about it. I said, okay, you do that. Wow. So then his mom shows up and I don't want to tell her what happened, but I get this urge, this nudge, speak, and I'm like, ugh. So I don't even look at her. I'm just doing things with his monitor or whatever. And I said, I was pretending I was talking to Sam and he was really angry at you and his dad. He said, my mom treats me like a baby and my dad should never have done that and I'll just die and get back at them. And I'm not looking at her. Suddenly I hear her start crying. And I'm thinking, oh man, what the heck? So I look at her and she said, when Sam was born, his dad kidnapped him. And I just got him back a year ago. And I'm so protective. I won't let him go anywhere. I drive him to school. I drive him back. I don't let him have play dates. And he's really upset with me because he's an independent kid. Mm. So she leaned over, kissed him and said, please don't go. I'll be better. Mm. So I went home. I was off the next day, but I found out he woke up that night. They sent him to pediatrics. So the next day, day after he woke up, I went back to work and I went to peds. And he's sitting on the side of his bed. His back's to me as I walk in, and his mom and her boyfriend are over here. I walk around, I stand in front of him, and I said, hi, Sam, my name is Linda. I was your nurse in the ICU. He said, I know who you are, and I know what you did. And then he reached up and he hugged me. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm about to cry. And I said, okay, have a good life. And I walked out.
Getting a little personal, huh?
So then 6 months later, I met some people and they knew him and the mom, and they told me he was doing great. So that kind of cinched it. Mm-hmm. From then on, it just hasn't stopped.
Right. There's always just been these situations where you were able to almost kind of be that middle person communicating from the person suffering that couldn't really speak for themselves, but just being able to connect to their soul, even if they're asleep and unconscious.
And
right?
even if I'm at home. So it wasn't just about messages. It was about the best thing, the coolest thing was to say hello to somebody's spirit who's not conscious. And I say, hey, they go, how can you talk to me? I'm laying, I'm not awake. I'm in a coma. I said, oh yeah, well, I'm talking to you and you're talking to me. What does that mean to you? I don't know. I don't get it. Hey, I'm talking to you. And I go, yeah. And then we talk about what they want. Did they want to get well? Did they want to go explore whatever it is they believe would happen if they left their bodies? I did a lot of that. And yeah, some people lived and some chose to die. But then I could tell their family and help their family make those choices. So that's all while I was nursing.
Right.
Okay, that's all that.
And then you started to kind of, and then when did you move to Sedona? Because
2000. March 10th, 2013.
Oh wow, you remember the date and everything.
Oh,
I think we all do. It's usually pretty epic when you move to Sedona. It's never
totally
like a, casual thing.
No, it's epic. It's totally epic. All our spirit stories.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So I got here and that's when somebody said, oh, you're a medium. I said, no, I'm not. See, I didn't want to pass on messages. It's kind of like Patrick Swayze in Ghost,
It's almost like he's like, what's going on? And it's not something you would ever imagine yourself doing as a vocation, especially, right?
Not me.
Yeah.
Because it's ICU. I was afraid to make a mistake. I didn't want to make a mistake. Right. Anyway, so I didn't do any of that, really. When I got here, I didn't have a venue. But I started doing, I was already doing healing touch as a nurse. And then I started learning here Reiki, because healing touch is more like in the hospital. Reiki is more like
it's a little
outside.
more like, because we're talking about definitions here, right? So
it's the totally same work. It's just that whatever. I'm not even going to get into it.
Yeah.
So I started doing Reiki, and I started working at a naturopathic health thing here. And having kind of my own little business. But when I became a contractor at Spirit Quest, now I had a venue. And we do all kinds of different sessions, and they hired me for grieving. But they started giving me some other sessions, and Spirit just started like guiding me. And after a year, so this cracked me up. After I was there about a year, and Catherine says, Linda, can you do a DNA light activation? I said, what the fuck is that? I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
And if you live in Sedona, or you're kind of in the whole consciousness, awakening, expansion movement, you've probably heard things like, oh, it's a DNA activation or crystalline energy and stuff like that. But it's words that are kind of thrown around a lot, right? Wouldn't you say?
I don't know, because I never talked to anybody about that stuff.
Okay. So
I didn't hang around with all
say it
this.
a little slower for those who are watching who may have never heard of that before. So
what is it? DNA light activation. And when I said what I said to Catherine, Spirit says, we've been doing that for a year. I said, we have? What is it we've been doing? Oh, that's a DNA light activation? Okay, yeah, I can do it. And that's how it went, because at Spirit Quest, you get people from all over the world coming, and they have their personal retreats that get created, and so they offer so many different sessions, and we would be asked, can you do this? I don't know. Yeah, you've been doing it for a year, and I have. Okay, I can do it. And that's how my spiritual path has just been revved up and leveled up. And then when I started doing these Tibetan bowls, oh my God.
You guys, you have to take a little glance behind us. She's got all these beautiful Tibetan bowls that she started going through the certification process to master it. And she's incredible. I've had a few sessions with you, and very epic. And I love that, Linda makes it her own, of course. She checks in with you And much like she's been discussing about the sort of like talking to your soul, that's what she does at the very beginning if you want it. And I love that she makes it an option, because I'm sure there's people that
It's not an option
really
anymore.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
You're like, you gotta check in.
Because, first of all, when I had to do 173 hours of bowl work and do case studies and all that junk, which I'm still working on.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just put it out there for volunteers. And so almost every volunteer, I had like 53 of them, almost all of them are healers, which just up-leveled everything.
Including me.
Including her, exactly. So
yes.
By the time I was on my third volunteer, I was thinking, I'm not going to do this soul check-in. And I told him that. And he said, no, because whatever we're doing over here just happened on the bowls. And I started paying attention, and he was right. So now it's not an option, because the work is happening on direct spiritual healing, soul healing.
Yes.
Because that's where it's at now.
Mm-hmm.
The bowls are just wonderful. You know, we have a relationship. They tell me what to do when I'm working on the bowls.
They speak to you?
Oh, yeah. Didn't I not tell you that?
I don't know if you mentioned that specifically, because we talk about so many other things, but please, yeah, feel free to share.
So I had no clue about bowls, but the minute I heard them, I thought, oh, this is my thing. I won't get into all this thing about the spirit who showed up. But I eventually...
Although that would be kind of interesting.
Okay, I'll just tell you. So on level 1, so there's 3 levels, and like weekend, 3-day or 4-day classes each level. Right. So the first level, I saw this Buddhist monk floating in the ceiling above the teacher. So I said, oh, there's a Buddhist monk. She goes, oh, yeah. So I thought it was hers. But every morning before class, he would come and talk to me, and then one day he came here. And so he told me, because by the end of the first day, I said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get certified. I'm going to commit, because to me it was medicine, and it is. It's Tibetan bowl medicine. And so this monk, this spiritual monk said, Linda, you've agreed to do this, you're committing to it, you're accepting the lineage, but your job is to bring it into present time and do it your way. I said, no problem.
And you had no idea what you were saying yes to at the time, right?
I didn't. But I did learn that just because there's an able, tons of ables, is going to be one that choice. So I went to Atma Buddhi, the school in Boulder, and I picked out my bowls over a few days. When I brought them back here, I introduced myself. I told them the kind of work I wanted to do, the vibrational tone I wanted to do it in, and asked them if they'd agree, and they said yes. Then I sat there and put one by one each bowl in front of me. I asked them, tell me about yourself, and I wrote it all down.
Oh, wow.
It was really
so
cool.
Special. Wow.
Oh, my bowls, we are a family. Yeah. Even if I had a bigger place, I would have them right here in my living room, because they're my family.
I've heard that before. I was certified as well by a very talented woman in Sedona, actually. She's the one who created a place called the Sedona Crystal Temple. And she works with crystal. Yeah, she works with crystal bowls more than the Tibetan bowls. And she would say they don't like to be put, kept in a case. They definitely love being out to vibrate. They're always vibrating.
They are.
So I think that was incredible to learn, with sound healing.
They are.
That's interesting though. So you had you ever done anything with sound healing before you took these classes?
No. The only thing is, I realized, I even wrote about it in my memoir.
Like a connection.
That I would sing to my patients, whether they were conscious or not. Not all of them, but I would start singing a song that I didn't even know, or I didn't know all the words to. So I'd either words would come out, or just humming, and I wondered, is this for me or is this for them? And I think it was maybe for both.
Well, just from my point of view, when you were working on me, and I noticed a lot of times you'll sing either at the beginning or at the end, or sometimes in between, and it's like you're speaking to my soul. And I feel that.
Yeah. So in the
There's
class.
something about music, right? It just gets right
it's
to your
sound.
soul. Yeah.
It's sound. Sound is in everything, even if we
Mhm.
can't hear it. Vibration. It's the vibration.
Absolutely.
Even if we can't hear it.
Everything's held together by sound is what many have, said. It's like a lineage that's been, or knowledge, ancient knowledge that's been passed down from the beginning.
And science is just starting to be able to document that now.
Absolutely.
So our left brains are saying, oh, okay, sound,
Right.
vibration, everything's vibration.
I just
It's
got
wonderful.
chills just thinking about how like even some of these specific sacred sounds that have been used for centuries upon centuries are still effective today. And it's almost like it was lost, and now all of this ancient knowledge is coming back into modern times. And I love that your soul or your higher self really is helping you to not only integrate these ancient things, like you've got the Buddhist monk appearing to you, but you're also using your own techniques and your own modern day today gifts that have probably been integrated over, who knows, like if we're thinking beyond time and space, like lifetimes.
Well, one thing I like about the school Atma Buddhi is that it's written into their protocols that by the third level you're supposed to be using your intuition. So like day one or maybe the second person I worked on, there's certain things they teach you that don't let the mallet rattle, don't let the sound start spinning up higher, whatever. Yeah, so the first day that my mallet rattled on my client, I started stop. No, don't do that. I'm breaking up energy. That's what the bowl said. Oh, okay. And so I just kept going. And then it's like, now hit me. So I invite it. That's what we call it. No, hit me hard. All four sides. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. What the heck? And then to keep on rubbing, and the sound was getting higher and higher and higher. And I'm like, I'm supposed to stop. Keep going. I'm breaking up the energy on the other frequencies, on the other levels. It was amazing. And that was just the beginning of it.
Yeah. That was like one layer, right?
Exactly, because they laugh at me because sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. No, this is what we're doing. You got to trust us. And I do now. I trust us.
Yeah, it's been this whole process for you. It's been beautiful to witness just coming back for the volunteer sessions that you had available. And I just remember one day I came over and you're like, hey, can I try something new on you? And you had created this whole structure made out of cardboard to make the bowls be able to sit on top of my head.
Oh, you should see that picture.
I love it. I know, we've got pictures. We'll post some of these pictures in the video later. But yeah, it was really
I put that
remarkable.
on my website.
And I think you did that a couple times. Like you were just experimenting. And I love that you have that inventive, almost like that childlike wonder of like, let's try this out. Okay, sure. It's like, you're not going to be ingrained in this, it's got to be this way type of a, attitude.
I can't, because they're telling me to do different things. And then Spirit gave me a whole protocol that I call heart-centered attunement. And when Spirit gave me this whole protocol to do, I'm like, I've been doing that this whole time with the other protocols, just modified. Oh my gosh. So, yeah. So it's kind of cool. And then on top of that, because of the work with the bowls, the soul check-in has like leveled up to where I'm doing, I don't really even know what to call it, but soul healing from source
like activation.
It's clearing out. No, because it's like our souls. This is just how I see things. Okay, you don't have to believe any of it. It's kind of her perspective. It's my perspective. How can I explain this best?
I love the way you explain things. By the way, like when we have our soul check-ins, she would just paint this picture for me, and just by listening to your perspective and how you were seeing it, it helped me gain an additional perspective that maybe I might have been limited before, where I felt blocked. And then you just kind of helped me like, oh, here, why don't you look at it like this? Or I'm inviting you to look at it like this. And I love that. So yeah. Go ahead and paint a picture.
So I don't know if you know that parable of the prodigal son in the Bible.
Oh, yes.
And I don't really remember it, except this is how I was thinking about it. Like the way I remember being taught is that here's this father that created all this beautiful, wonderful stuff for his family and for his community, and his son is saying like, screw you, Dad, I don't like it. And so he leaves, right? Because he's rejected everything his dad has done. And then he comes back with his tail between his legs, and his dad and everybody say, oh, welcome home, son. So it's a whole guilt trip, really. That's the way I see it. But suddenly, that's not how I was seeing it. After doing this stuff, it's more like, Dad, you have created this awesome, most wonderful life for all of us, and I want to add to it. So I'm going to go on a walkabout. Okay, son, we'll be watching you from here and cheering you on. I'm just going to compartmentalize my identity, and I'm going to go on a walkabout, and I'm just going to keep exploring deeper and deeper and compartmentalize and fractionate and fracture myself until I am in vibrational pieces. And then, wounded, really fucked up, messed up, exploring the deepest, darkest, vibrational, slowest vibes you can explore. And then, bit by bit, trying different combinations of vibrations, seeing which ones flow life. And then he just starts coming back and integrating which ones are working, which ones support and flow life, until he comes back up and he goes, Dad, I'm home. And they go, oh, we watched the whole thing. You are such a gift to all of us. We are going to incorporate the things that you learned, and life is going to flow and grow, and we are all going to become more because of what you did. Thank you, son. Isn't that a cool? That's what we're doing.
Right, on this planet, like what we're all doing as humans, right? That's, you just described more the human condition.
More than human.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. On this soul, the way I see it is it's all, you called it dimensional. I never used that word before. I see it like a high rise, but dimension is probably the right word. It's just like starting out with a what if, a hypothesis, and then exploring it with all kinds of stories, and then going deeper and deeper and deeper. And to go deeper, you got to compartmentalize your awareness.
That, like a high rise. I love that metaphor.
And then it's the coming back and bringing back what you
because you still need the foundation too. You know, the foundation of the high rise. A lot of people get addicted to getting high. You know, like literally getting high in their consciousness, and then they start getting. It's almost like the ego trips out, thinking I'm better than others because I've done all this spiritual work, and there's that going on too. So I love the metaphors that you use.
It's all about how deep you want to go.
Right.
Not every actress can play a crack whore living on the street. Okay? So it's okay if you don't want to play that role. Not everybody's going to be a Hannibal Lecter. Okay? It's okay. You don't have to go that deep.
Right.
But the ones that are going deep, everybody's learning. Everybody on every level is learning from every story. Every story matters. Right. Every character matters. It all serves. At the very least, we're going to learn what we don't want, what we've outgrown and don't want. And we're going to get so uncomfortable in our shit that it will be more uncomfortable than the unknown, that we will start desiring something better. We'll imagine what that could be, form follows thought, and we become it. It doesn't ever stop. It's a beautiful thing. Divine darkness, sacred shadow, luminous light. It's all good. It's not about not having it. It's about the proportion. Does it make the story that you want to live?
Right. It's like illuminating the spectrum of literally the emotions and depth. Like you said, as deep as you want to go, you can go as deep as you want and go far, far from the path just to experience that. But then maybe that whole purpose was just to bring you back somewhere, and maybe not. You know, it's like everyone's got their choice, right?
Everyone's got a choice, and the spirit wants. I got all this from a spirit telling me this, kicking my ass in a heiau out in Kauai. Because
that's an interesting story too.
Did I tell it to you?
You did a while ago, yeah. You've had an incredible. She's got an incredible life, y'all. It's so much fun to hear some of the stories of what you've experienced.
Well, that spirit just taught me.
Wasn't that like your dark night of the soul type of a journey?
Well, yeah. So when I came to Sedona, I thought, oh, oh, there's so many spiritually wise people here. I'm going to learn so much. And Sedona is an awesome smorgasbord of crazy in a good way. And I say that in a good way because the title of my memoir is I May Be Crazy, but It's All Good. So when I say crazy, it's all good. Sedona is a wonderful thing. You can experience all kinds of paths, and none of them are going to be harmful. So I tried in a month and a half. I got exposed to all kinds of paths. After a month and a half, I said, my crazy is as good as their crazy. And so I created my apartment again. I called it Little Tibet, and I didn't see anybody except the landlady when I paid rent. And I tried to wipe out all light. I wanted to get to the bottom of things. So I tried to get rid of all light in me.
Mm.
And I ended up in my head in like I just call it a dark room. I really don't know because it was all dark. But in a corner, in a fetal position with my hands covering my face. And I looked at me and I was smiling. And I go, I must be comfortable in the dark. After a week, I'm thinking, if I was comfortable, why was I in a fetal position? Let me go look at that again. So I go in, I look again, and I get really close to my face and my hands. And in my hands, I see this little pinprick of light. And I go, I'm not smiling at the dark. I'm smiling at that light. I can't get rid of the light. Okay, I can't get rid of the light. Well, why the hell am I in this dark? So I held up the light. I lit up the dark. I looked around. There's nothing even here. So then I started walking up what I call the grayscale. You know the grayscale? It's like in photography or art, absolute black to absolute light and all the little gray and everything all the way. So I start walking up the grayscale, and as I do, I'm having flashes of memory of past lives where I was horrendous. I was horrific. I was a terrible person. All kinds of different lives. I could accept that as an evolutionary kind of thing. But what I got stuck on is the realization that I enjoyed it. Mm. I got stuck. I said, how can I keep walking up this grayscale towards the light when I enjoyed being that terrible person all those different times? And I couldn't move. So right then, thank you, my old neighbor who had moved to Kauai said, I need you to come and help me. So I'm on the plane to Hawaii, and I'm having visions every day, but they have these sacred indigenous circles in Hawaii, in Kauai. I can't remember, 7 or 11 of them. You're not supposed to go inside of them, but one of them is on a public beach. So my friend takes me there. There's nobody else on the beach but her and I.
And what do they look like, just for the...
Well, in this one on the beach, it's like a big stone wall, maybe, like about this high. Mm-hmm. It's a big circle. And other ones look differently. I didn't look at them all, but this one.
Oh, okay.
So, so she's taking off, and I'm about 20 feet from the circle, and there's a male spirit, and he goes, welcome, blessed one. And I yell, don't you call me a blessed one. I am a terrible person. I'm horrendous. I'm awful. And he goes, welcome, blessed one. Come closer. I said, I told you not to call me that. And I'm crying because I'm like really in distress. So I walk over to the stone, and he says, come inside, blessed one. I said, oh, no, we're not supposed to do that. He said, it's my heiau, and I'm inviting you inside. And I look around. There was no one there, so I climbed in. And he's the one who told me, do you not recognize the service that you give all of life? I said, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, because I'm crying. What's he talking about? It was, not everybody. Do you think everybody could live the lives that you've had? I said, I don't know. Yes, they can't. But everybody will learn from your life experiences, and they'll grow. And I said, yay. Good, okay, cool. And then he called me blessed one again, and I got out of there. And then everywhere I went on Kauai, every spiritual place, I would hear, welcome, blessed one. And on my way home, up 179 to Sedona, I'm saying, I'm back. Welcome home, blessed one. I go, what the hell? One earth, Linda. So it took me, I could understand, because that's when my thing came about. Do you think every actress can play a crack whore? Mm-hmm. But I really didn't get it until I started doing this bowl work. And I thought of De Niro being a method actor like he is, 24/7, playing some horrendous character. He comes on set, all in his character, doing his scene, and there's a lot of people watching him. There's the director, there's the cameraman, there's the lighting gaffer, there's the wire guys, whatever they're called, the grips. There's the hair, makeup, and costume. There's the stage people. There's probably the food person and the janitor. They're all watching him play this scene, a horrendous scene. And I bet they're thinking, man, I don't want to ever feel what he's feeling because he's all in. Or, oh, wow, I used to think that way and it doesn't look good watching him do it. I think I'm going to change. So that spirit was right.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, all stories matter. All characters matter.
I love that.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. I love all of those metaphors together. I mean, that's like, you said you're writing your memoirs. That sounds
No, I already wrote those.
Oh, you already wrote
them?
them? Okay.
No, I published those in 2008. I'm way different now.
Yeah.
Because,
Of course. Well, life is always shifting.
Flowing and growing, flowing and growing, blossoming and blooming, pruning and fertilizing. And shit is the best fertilizer we know.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's like a garden. It's like gardening.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
The garden of our soul.
I love using that terminology to explain things sometimes because it's just so comprehensive. It's like you're not judging the shit. You're not judging any step of the process because they're all important, like you said. It's like you can't grow a decent garden without the shit, right?
Without the fertilizer.
Right.
And we try to make synthetics because we don't want to pass along Mercer or whatever. But really, there isn't any better fertilizer than human shit. Or
pure shit. Yeah. And laughter too. We need the comedy.
Oh yeah.
We need the drama.
We need it all.
I mean, think if we didn't have a certain section in our, whether you're looking at books or movies and all the forms of, I guess moods that we have. It's like, why would you want to come in and just cut out one of those? It's all part of the experience.
Yeah,
definitely.
Exactly. So, and where I'm at now is like, I'm 70 fucking 1 years old. So how deep of the stories do I still need?
Right.
How deep do I need to go? I had this dream a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a sequential dream that I woke up in between each time. So the first dream, oh my God, it was so terrifying. It was terrifying. And I woke up like sweating and I'm saying okay, this is not the kind of story I want to be living. I choose love. I ask you to choose what's best, love. I had to get up and pee. So I go back to bed. I fall asleep. It's the same dream, only it's a little bit different. I wake up again, just barely, and I said, I choose love. I go back to sleep. It's the same dream, but another variation. I wake up again, and I'm aware that I'm doing this now. And I said, I choose love and ask you to choose what's best. I wake up the last time and I'm aware it was the same dream, the same people in the dream, the same setting, but it wasn't the same dream. It was so wonderful. And I thought, all I had to do was just keep choosing love, and love kept changing the picture, kept changing the story. I just kept choosing the vibration of love, and the story kept changing. It was amazing.
I just got chills. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
That's profound.
I don't have to do anything. I've been saying that for decades. Just choose love, choose the vibration, and let your little left brain have a break and not have to worry about it. And
right, getting out of the way.
Love will do it. Love will do it.
Kind of like, I think you've said this pretty often, just in our sessions and all the time, you're always saying that you have these conversations with yourself where you're having to kind of get yourself out of the way and just, learn to trust a little bit more. I mean, of course, now it's pretty easy for you to trust and listen to your intuition.
Oh, it's not just easy, it's everything.
Yeah.
But it took me 50 years to get here.
Mhm.
The thing, though, you keep saying, and people say, getting your mind out of the way.
Mhm.
And that's not what I'm doing anymore.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I'm doing, because doing this work with the bowls and the whole soul healing thing.
Mhm.
Do you remember when I took you into No Form, No Story?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's stepping outside and just going into the life force.
Mhm.
So when I was doing the soul healing and all the alignments, I would finally see, like, from the creator and their soul line after healing things coming into your heart. And I would see, like, this little thing like that. And at first I'm like, well, I don't know what that is. And after a few times doing it, I didn't like it. So I just pushed it into alignment, right? And then Spirit said, Linda, it's the left brain. It's the mind. And the thing is, the mind, the left brain, has been trying to protect us our whole lives, trying to keep us safe, trying to figure things out, trying to understand, trying to make sure that we can at least survive, if not thrive. And it doesn't know all this woo-woo shit. It's gotta, it's gotta have facts. It's gotta have things to do to make sure everything's cool. And so it doesn't know. So take people in the No Form, No Story, where they're just in that life force that I call love and light. Let them be there, out of the story, out of their bodies, remembering they're the life force, feeling how good it is, and then have them feel it in their bodies, in their hearts, send a beam of that energy right into the mind, and let the left brain and the mind just have a spa moment where they're just bathed with this life force that I call love and light. And do it, and just keep doing it. And pretty soon, the left brain, the mind is going to say, oh man, I don't have to know everything. I don't have to know anything. I don't have to have any answers. I can just relax in this life force and say, well, here's the issue. What do you think is best? And then allow it to come to you.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Like, you don't fight anymore. I think that's pretty much the point of me bringing that up, was that you just ask, and now you're just allowing that to come.
It's very evidence by doing the latest thing on my website, because the two things that could always spin me out were my husband and the computer. My husband died, so not an issue. But the computer, oh my God, when I first created the website, and if I ever had to go back, it's like learning it all over again. I really hated it. So I'm done with the bowls, the practice. I'm, doing it now. And I had to upgrade the website and put a booking thing on there and all this stuff. 5 days I worked on it. Not once did I get upset, because the minute I felt something coming that I didn't know, I just said, well, I don't know what to do. What do you want to do, love? Mm-hmm. And it would just happen. It's amazing. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Even when you were doing those experiments with how to put the bowls on people, you would get the answers, like you get the idea would just drop in, right?
Well, so those, I wasn't quite yet where I was with the computer just then. But no, because some of the protocols, I wanted to really have the bowls on the head and near the fifth chakra, and I had to keep trying to devise little tools or ways to do it, because it's not necessarily in the protocols that I'm taught. Mm-hmm. And I would say, can I try this on you? Can I try this on you? And I was creating little devices, just being so pissed off. And then, like, okay, I don't know what to do. I go to sleep, wake up, oh, okay, that's a good idea, because that's it, man. So in that stage, it was me getting out of the way. And now it's just me cuddling and holding my left brain and my mind in this state of love and light, where it feels safe and it doesn't have to work hard at it. It's beautiful.
Love it.
That's the first time I've said that.
Oh.
It feels safe. It knows it's safe. It knows it can trust
Right.
its higher self.
Because would you say that the left mind is always in survival mode, or it's been programmed to be?
Well, it didn't know any better.
Right, right.
I mean, we're born with a left brain,
Right.
you know, and we're born, we inherit those vibes, mind, body, emotion, spirit,
Right.
good, bad, beautiful, ugly. And we got all those bad and ugly things we're born with, all the too much, bury him, kill him, you know, and life is responding to them, and the left brain is like, what the hell? You know, it doesn't know, it's doing its best. It's not a bad thing. It's in service to our character, to our story. The whole thing is to find something who knows more, to trust, and that's you, your creator self.
I like that it's reminding me of something you said that was very impactful to me in one of our soul check-ins, and that was that our egos are just the clothing that we're wearing, or it's like the mask, the costume.
The hair, makeup, and costume.
Yes.
Okay? We're
I
just
love that.
hair, makeup, and costume in a life story, but we are the life voice.
Right. That's who we truly are, and we
That's
are love.
And that's what I call the life voice, love, because that's a vibration that creates, supports, and sustains the flow of life.
Right. And I love it because, again, like we've kind of had these little check-ins and, you know, processes of discovery in just our conversations. And one of my favorites is just how you came to that conclusion of, what is it? It's love. I think you even have like a moment where you realized, like, well, what do I call it? Love.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so this was, okay. Woo.
That was a good one.
So first, my very first kind of little awareness was when I was 18 and a half, and I'm not going to go into that whole story, but I had an experience where I learned the power of forgiveness and love. Not forgiveness probably the way you understand it, but in the way I understood it in that moment. So then I was going to go to nursing school. I was in nursing school. I was in pre-nursing, and it was a time in my life where I didn't give a shit if there was a higher power. I fucking hated it and rejected it. I didn't care. But I'm learning science, and everything is energy. So I go, okay, I am going to tune into the most wonderful, awesomest energy I can imagine, the best vibration there is, and I called it BV for best vibration. That's what I called it. So I started tuning into BV. And after a little bit, maybe months, I realized, man, every time I'm tuning into BV, I feel all this love. I'm going to call it love. So I called it love. And then after a while, I realized, man, this love has got awareness. It's got intelligence. So I saw it like a light bulb over someone's head, and I called it light. So that's where I call love and light. Conscious life voice vibration of love.
Beautiful.
And I realized after a while that that's the vibe that really sustains life, because all love is inclusive, not exclusive. And all these other vibes like hate, and power, and intolerance and all that, they're self-destructive, they're self-limiting, and self-destructive. Because if you're the powerful one, pretty soon the ones you have power are going to try and overthrow you. You know, they're gonna, they're gonna sabotage you. That's just my experience. Okay, love and conscious love creates, supports, sustains life, because I don't care how fucked up you are, everybody wants it, even if they don't know it. They want it.
True. Yeah, and I think it's just interesting. That's why I love sitting with this dear soul, because, you know, we'll be sitting there in a session and all of a sudden you're like, who the fuck are you? But you're not mean. You're just like, well, tell me what you want. You know, and it could be
I'm talking to your soul.
and some of the little attachments and beings that might not look so love and light, right? Like that they might even be like kind of creepy looking, or, you know?
Yeah, you know I love that.
Yeah.
I do. You know, when I see something creepy like that or scary, I go, hey, love, how you doing? Or who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And thanks for showing up. What did you need to say?
Right.
And let me give you a healing here.
Right. Usually that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
They just need
They
love.
just need some love. They need some healing. So I got this whole spiritual team that I work with in my healing circle, and there'll be something that I say, well, look, you need a healing, but I'm like focused on her. So who wants this one? You know, and then someone will say me, and I go, okay, there you
go. And when you say who wants this one, what do you mean by that? Like,
oh, well, I have my healing team.
Okay.
So it is.
So they'll step forward to help.
No, they just give me a heads up.
Oh.
You know, so it's Jesus, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Isis, Kali, Shiva, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Gaia, Henry Metatron, Jeremy Saint Germain, and Eddie E.T. That's what I call him.
And
So,
this is your team?
This is my team.
Like the usual.
Oh,
things.
And then I call him the void guy.
You crack me up.
He's outside the circle, so to speak. When he first showed up, so arrogant, so dominating. I said, no, you can't work here. You can't, get away, get out of here. And I would kick him out until he got an attitude change. But he's the void guy. So all these other people, even Kali and Shiva, they're gonna like break you down and build you back up. But the void guys, it's not all that he can do, but his specialty is to take whatever I'm throwing away and just send it into the void to be neutralized and recycled. But he will, I really love him. I love all of them. But he has evolved in working with this team. And yeah, so he's going to be the one taking away things. I don't know how to explain it.
Kind of like transmuting, right?
Yeah.
Like taking something that's really dark and sticky and negative and transforming, kind of like taking off the mud, right? And
yeah. So like lots of times I'll picture him with a hose, with a vacuum hose. In fact, I'm calling it now the void vacuum.
Right.
The void vacuum. I need a void vacuum here on center aisle.
Can I get a void vacuum, please? I need that. Like, can I get one of those? I have two kittens now, and now they're starting to shed. I need a void vacuum.
And one time recently, there was so much stuff to vacuum. I said, let's bring it under the circle and just create like a garbage disposal. I could go like this and just dump it. Because listen, what you're thinking has power. And imagination is creation. That's how I first started talking to spirit. So I will always be teaching people. Imagination is creation. Imagine it. When you're trying to do something and you can't even imagine it, you say to your left brain, dude, I'm just making this shit up. Oh, you're just pretending? I don't have to make sure it's okay, that it's safe. And oh, go ahead and pretend. So you pretend. And then you get into your right brain, you open the door to spirit, and you just pretend and play.
Yeah.
And then it flows. And then pretty soon you realize, oh, okay, this is working because it's real.
And when you say, and again, we're talking about this love light force, which to me, the way I identify with it is being sort of childlike, like it's my inner child. And it's like letting my inner child play. And it's, so for me, it's like not worth doing if I don't feel joyful about it. You know, it's like that inner joy, you know.
To me, the best service you can give life is to be happy. Just be happy.
I agree.
Okay? That is the best thing you can give to all of life.
And what advice would you give somebody who's watching this who might consider themselves to be kind of in a hole or not so happy, and they just feel like they've made too many mistakes in life, and it's like, fuck it all, right? Like, what would you say to people like that? Do you have any advice on what's the first step?
The very first thing I would say is start saying, I choose love. Just start choosing love. Even if you don't believe in it, call it BV, best vibration, whatever you want. Just start choosing love. because that's gonna give a little cracks in your left brain and allow your spirit, your soul, your creator to start coming in. Because one of the coolest things that I learned after that whole thing in Kauai, well, way after, is that I never really abandoned or betrayed myself. That now I look at it like that prodigal son. I set up this whole walkabout of lifetimes to add to the all. And I created all kinds of safeguards, even though I had no clue. When I'm being the most terrible person in the world, or that ever existed, always, I set it up. I set it up on this level, on a creator level. I set up the whole thing, and I always had something to push me back in, slap me upside the head, kick my ass, whatever, until I evolved back together again enough to start hearing, to start resonating, little unconsciously. But when I realized, oh my God, you know that whole poem about footsteps in the sand, where you walk in and the guy's complaining, Jesus, you were never with me. And he said, dude, there's only one set of footsteps because I was carrying you. It's like that. When I realized I never abandoned me, that was a big turnaround to starting to trust the all of me. So choose love.
Choose love. And then I love what you said about being able to listen, because I think that's another thing that causes suffering, is when you are, your channel is kind of shut down because you're overstimulated, you're not praying, you're not connecting, whatever it is you do. And it doesn't necessarily have to be praying. It's just talking to your all, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's some different names, and I'm sure you've used a few, to arrive at what feels good for you. So it's going to be different for everybody.
Everyone.
So because we're all so unique, that's what we're inviting you into with this conversation, is finding your own terminologies, your own flavors. Yes.
Everybody. I mean, life has got more flavors than Baskin Robbins. Each of us is a flavor of love. Okay?
I love that you're wearing yellow too, because that was my favorite color as a kid.
Yeah.
And then when I was in my teens, it was purple. And what's funny is I like those two colors together. And so if I have a little wedding ceremony at some point, that would be my wedding colors.
Yeah,
it's yellow and purple.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so find your own flavor. And what else? Is there any other kind of thoughts or things that kind of
something I want to, something just about meditation. So when I don't meditate like everybody says. So way back, I was out, I went to a nursing weekend thingy of Healing the Healer. And I already read all those self-help books, and I said, well, you got one I haven't read? And it was A Course in Miracles. And back then, this was not a mainstream thing.
And for you guys who haven't heard of A Course in Miracles, it's like a series of books, right?
No, it's got one main book.
Oh, one main book, okay.
Which is the text, and then it's a year-long course, a minimum. So it's you do it all. I did it all by myself. There were no groups, and I would do it by myself anyway. But there's lots of Course in Miracles. It's big now.
Right. There's like churches and meetup groups and all kinds of things.
Right. So anyway, I had that thing about finding out about best vibrations. So I had that awareness. And I had learned that thing at 18.5 about forgiveness and the power of love. But going through the Course in Miracles, it's going to I don't know how it is when you're in a group. But for me, it's like strips you down. So I was getting back in touch with a lot of pain and wounding. So I'm out in the wetlands walking my dog. There's nobody but me and him. And he's gone somewhere. And I'm yelling and complaining about God. And I hear, I'm sorry. And I go, oh. What? This is before I started talking to people's spirits, way before. And I go, oh, what's that? Who's that? God. And I go, oh fuck, maybe it's the devil.
I love that your mind just automatically went there.
Well, yeah. I go, maybe it's the devil, man. And I said, well, I don't care who you are because you suck. Blah, 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 blah. You know, and I can do things better than you can. And so this voice said, okay, well, let's have an agreement. We'll do things your way. And if it's not working, then we'll try it my way. I said, okay. So in the Course of Miracles, you have a little quote that you're going to think about. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. It tells you what to do. So I had been doing that for maybe a few weeks or less. So now, though, I heard that voice. So now I would do the thing, the quote, and then I would start talking to God about what I thought about it. And then I would just stop and listen, and I'd hear some answers. Okay, cool. And as time went on, that became my thing. I'd read the quote, I'd do whatever I had to do. I would give my opinion about it, what I thought about it, and then I would listen. And the time between me stopping talking and starting to listen, the time started getting a little bit longer, until it was like about an hour where I'm still listening. And I go, I know what the hell you're doing. You're making me quiet my mind. And so I never learned to meditate, to stop thinking. I went into active listening so that I was listening. I wasn't thinking. I was listening, waiting to hear an answer. And then I realized the answer was the silence. So I still do that. It's been since the 80s. So if you have trouble meditating, just go into active, have a conversation, because why are we meditating? It's to connect.
Connect and have
It's
that
to connect with your
that conversation
higher self.
with God. Yeah.
Have a relationship, a conversation, an active working relationship.
Right.
That means you got to talk and listen.
And then you can start to see what happened to me is that, you know, doing similar practices, I would start to see the universe speaking back to me, not just as a voice, because that's the other thing. It may be a voice, it may be in different ways, right?
Feelings,
everyone's a little different.
Senses, all kinds.
You might get an idea.
You're a flavor, man. Yeah. Enjoy your flavor.
What's your flavor?
Be your flavor. Not everybody's the same, thank God.
How boring would that be?
Vanilla. I love vanilla.
You walk into 31, or you walk into a Baskin Robbins and there's like one flavor. How boring would that be?
Yeah. And even if you like it boring, every now and then you still got options. So be your flavor.
And choose love.
And choose love.
I love it. So many gems I knew we would have come up.
Did we have gems? Did we have gems?
Yeah, I
hope so.
I think so. Yeah, leave us some comments. Linda, so how can people sign up with you if they're in Sedona, or do you also offer online?
Yeah,
things?
So the bowls are always going to be in person. So I call it the Tibetan Bowl and Soul. Take it
Very
to the
special.
core. Take it to the core. You know, so that's in person. And I give 3 hours of my time for that, so that there's time.
Every minute is so profound. Like, it's beautiful. And it kind of goes fast too. Like I come in for the session and it feels like I wasn't even here for very long. So.
Everybody says that because really, whatever. But I also have like in person or online 90-minute thingies of soul guidance. And that would include like me checking your soul and soul healing. But and I always let spirit tell me what to do, but you could have a specific things, grieving, emotional clearing, DNA light activate. No, I don't want to do that that's only in person. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't know yet. Who knows? And then empowerment tools. I love teaching empowerment tools to empower and to give you your freedom.
Absolutely.
To be the flavor that you are.
Yeah, so get in touch with her. Do you have a website?
Yes. It's my name. www.lindaingalls, INGALLS, like Little House on the Prairie.
And I will leave a link in the video so that you can just click right on her website if you would like to connect with Linda. She's a dear soul. I love, getting sessions with her, and highly recommend either in person is definitely a treat, very special. However, Linda also works very well remotely. So if you feel drawn to connect with her, she does offer that as well.
Now-
and probably phone too, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, phone. But I only have office hours on certain days because I still like to work at Spirit Quest. So I have a booking page. So anyway, whatever.
Yeah, so just find your session, find your time that works for you, and Linda's incredible. And thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
taking this time to connect with me and our beautiful, listeners.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you all. Love you.
Love you.